We now head to the Netcare Kingsway Hospital in Amanzimtoti in KwaZulu-Natal, where our reporter Karinda Jagmohan is standing by. The hospital's trauma unit has been closed after a patient and a staff member tested positive for COVID-19. Karinda, a very good morning to you. This Netcare Kingsway Hospital right behind you is the second Netcare hospital to report COVID-19 cases. What is the latest development there?
Good morning to you. Indeed, we understand that the trauma unit has been closed here at the Netcare Kingsway Hospital. It's in Amanzimtoti, which is in the south part of KZN, just south of Durban. Now, according to Netcare, a patient had tested positive at this facility. From the statement that was just given to us, they say that a patient was admitted to the hospital on the 4th of April. He had a suspected stroke. Now, he was screened for COVID-19 symptoms, but was asymptomatic at the time. The screening was in accordance with the Netcare protocol as well as the NICD guidelines. However, they say that on the 7th of April, this patient was visited by his practitioner, who said that a week earlier he had, or the patient rather, had flu symptoms. Netcare then said that a test must be conducted, and we understand that on the 8th of April, the hospital learned that the patient had tested positive. The patient has since been placed under isolation, and the healthcare workers as well as other patients who may have come into contact with this particular COVID-19 patient have also been placed under isolation, some of them under quarantine at their own home, some of them self-isolating. Going forward, though, of course, many of the suspected now COVID-19 patients, whether they may be patients or staff at the hospital, will be tested, and we're expected to hear further now on the number of tests that have been done with regards to the patients and staff here, and going forward how many have been tested positive, especially how many staff at the hospital have tested positive. Our sources on the ground tell us that some nurses have tested positive thus far for COVID-19. However, Netcare is yet to confirm this allegation. We understand that they are no longer admitting any patients, and we know that this is a reality on the ground because just according to the social media groups in this area, in the Amanzimtoti area, we're seeing residents saying that they're unable to come to the hospital for whatever treatment or checkups they need to, because the hospital has been closed since around the start of April.
We know, Karinda, that Netcare protocols have come under scrutiny when, of course, we heard of the first cases at the Netcare St. Augustine's. What processes are in place now? We know that government has also weighed in, conducting a full-scale investigation. What do we know about those processes?
Well, as we saw with St. Augustine's, which is also owned by Netcare, the hospital, or rather sections of the hospital, were closed in phases from when the hospital management found out about the first cases of COVID-19 at St. Augustine's. We do expect the same to happen here at Kingsway, but of course this is dependent on the COVID-19 exposure here. From the statement that Netcare has sent us, they say that management has taken the decision to close the radiology department at the hospital for any investigations of persons who are not admitted to the hospital until further notice. Other parts of the hospital are also being closed. We understand the trauma unit is the main section of the hospital being closed, and currently, of course, no new patients can be admitted. Now, we are still awaiting the investigation report from St. Augustine's. The last we heard from Netcare with regards to the St. Augustine's private hospital, which is in the Durban CBD, an examination report, a detailed examination report was being created, this with the assistance of Professor Salim Karim, who is an advisor to the Minister of Health and an epidemiologist, to understand how the exposure of COVID-19 happened at that hospital. Of course, now that investigation report must be used to investigate further here what happened at this Kingsway hospital, and most likely at hospitals across the country. We do remember the Minister of Health saying last week, calling upon the private healthcare sector to work as one healthcare partner with the public health sector during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. We haven't heard yet from the local Department of Health regarding this hospital. We're expected to hear from a local government soon, just with regards to what further action will be taken at the hospital to ensure we do not see another mass transmission of COVID-19 like we did see at the St. Augustine's Hospital.